Please call, shout yourself out in the comments. Or if you have a new Ruby on here, shout them out. We love these monthly calls. This is a really, really special call. And if you are on here, like, congrats, because that's a huge, huge deal. And this is a really fun thing to promote with your teams and let them know like what they have to look forward to when they hit Ruby, that they get to be on this Jules leadership call that we do. Because what we do is with Emily, Jordan, and I, our Jules, we all meet once a week on Fridays, kind of like a Jules Summit roundtable type thing. It's awesome. And then one of those Fridays we have as a Ruby call. And so we all are on here and it's awesome. We're really excited for today's topic and the things we're going to talk through and discuss. And so Emily is going to kind of start that off as far as like what we're going to be doing with the topic.
Hi, you guys. So whenever we first started, or whenever I started my business and Jordan, Joanna, and I would get together, I would hear Jordan talk about, and Joanna too, but specifically Jordan would talk about how her diamond upline had her in like a Ruby and above thread, and they were in like an accountability group together and a book study group together. And I remember, and I have an incredible sponsor, but I remember feeling like I want that community. Like I want to connect with people who are in the same like, rank as me that might be dealing with similar downline issues or leadership issues, or just being in alignment with one another and having that community. And so I hope that serves, I hope like what we do here serves you well, where you guys are feeling connected with one another and you guys are creating friendships and you're finding value in like what one another shares. And as you guys can see, I mean, how many people are in here? There's 16 of us. Like this is a small, 17 now. This is a small, sweet group. So this, hopefully you guys feel comfortable and safe to like share your wins and your struggles and issues, so we can find solutions to them. I hope that we're laying that foundation where you guys feel very comfortable here to learn and grow as leaders, because that's what you are. Like you guys are the leaders of this company. You guys are the leaders of our teams. And so we want to continually empower you, whether that's with things that we've learned, things that are put upon our hearts, things that we're seeing happening in the field. And so today we've kind of been toying around with what did we want to talk about? Like what did we want to bring to the table here? And there are a few things that continually have been coming to my mind. One is ownership over our business as leaders. One is how are we showing up for our teams, like mentally? How are we there for our teams? And so those are two of the biggest things that are like on my heart right now, because I remember when I went Ruby, it was like, all right, this is a whole new ball game. Like we're actually doing something. Like I have a few people on my team who are signing people. Like there's some bit of duplication going. So now I'm now elevated. This is not just an Emily Burgess show where I'm like signing everybody. I've got people who are curious about this business. And I don't know, has this happened to any of you guys? Like once you've gotten to this spot where you are a Ruby, senior Ruby, there's kind of like this, oh no, like what am I doing? Like I'm a leader. I don't really know what I'm doing. Yes, Taylor, that's exactly right. It forces you to raise your leadership lid, or you can make the choice to not. You can make the choice to like choose not to raise that leadership lid. So that's an incredible point that you've put there. So what I want us to do right now, and this was really, really sweet. We did this with my accountability group a few weeks ago, and I feel like it was one of the best calls that we've ever had. But I want us to spend just a few minutes. Again, there are only 17 of us on here, very small group, family. We're gonna have two categories we're gonna talk about. First category, I want you guys to unmute yourself, and I want you to share some things that you have seen Plexus products help you, yourself, or your loved ones with physically. So for me, my mom, she was an insomniac for 30 years, and seeing my mom, for the most part, sleep very deep every single night without medication, without anxiety going to bed. That has been life-giving for not only her, but everybody in her wake. So that's something that I've seen with Plexus. Unmute yourself. What are things that you have seen change for people in your life with the Plexus products? And you guys be listening, because hint, these are really inspiring and they can be incredible ways to share on social media. Like what we're doing right here, hint, hint, is building our belief. Okay, go ahead. I'll ask the question again. What have you seen the Plexus products help your loved ones with physically, with their health?
I've had friends with migraines living migraine free for the most part now.
I have a friend who is an older, dear family friend of ours, known me my entire life. And for as long as I can remember, she has always dealt with debilitating pain. She has diabetic neuropathy. And the combination of a couple of different Plexus products has her living life now in her mid 80s much more fulfilling to her than she has in 3 decades.
So I have a friend that just announced her pregnancy, and her second pregnancy. She has PCOS, and with her first son, it took a year to get pregnant with medication. And with this baby, she was on some medication to get pregnant, but it only took them 2 months. And so she gives like huge props to Plexus in helping her with that, and so exciting. I love it.
My mom has, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, my son quit puking from refluxing every time we fed him. Like that was huge, like a total 180 change for our family, because sucks to clean puke out of wheelchairs, but also like we could go places without like splitting, one of us staying home with him. And of course he was pooping on like clockwork and no Miralax. Like that was huge for our family.
My mom has diverticulosis for, like 20 years now, and she's had to have like part of her colon removed and everything. But since being on Plexus, she no longer has to live on fiber supplements to go to the bathroom, and she hasn't had a diverticulitis attack in the last 2.5 years.
I live in farm country. We're a farming family, and I was tested for allergies, and they told me I was allergic to every single type of tree humanly possible, which is a nightmare when you live in farm country. And when I started Plexus, I didn't realize that this would even help, but I was able to get off all of my allergy meds, and I haven't had to take any allergy medication in the last 5 years.
Okay, these are all beautiful. And I think we could go on for hours over what we have seen the products help us, our family, our loved ones help in the area of health with. Now, let's transition it and let's talk about the business and the opportunity, because what is going to attract leaders is this right here, what we're about to talk about. What has blessed you? Like, how has Plexus blessed you on the opportunity side? And it doesn't need to just be financial. Obviously, it can be community. That's beautiful. But let's get specific here of like, I'm able to pay my mortgage every month, or we're able to have somebody come and clean our house, or whatever. I want to hear specifics of what Plexus, the opportunity side, has helped you with, has blessed you, the area has blessed you in.
For our family, we would not be living in the house that we're living in. We wouldn't own either of the vehicles that we have. We wouldn't be living in the area that we live in. Basically, every single thing of life reality right now, our kids would not be in Christian school, a private Christian school. Everything is because of Plexus business opportunity.
I was able to quit 4 part-time jobs and just combine it into one, so that I wasn't taking my babies everywhere that I was going, but I could just do it from home, and then they're also able to go to school.
I was just talking to Tab earlier today about like feeling like I don't have anything to show for my business. And that's so not true. I've been reflecting on it since I sent it. So I used to work full time when I started Plexus. We had to have me step away from that because my daughter's needs were more important. So we took a $40,000 pay cut to our family income. And Plexus was just extra fun money at the beginning. And then this summer, we had to sell our house, and my husband's hours literally got cut to the point where he has half the income than he did before. And this was all after I'd been home for a year. And we wouldn't have a place to live if I didn't have Plexus right now. It pays for our mortgage or our rent payment. And this is in a safe area of town. Like, we would be lucky to find the space we have for 3 kids and a dog for anything less than we're already paying. And the fact that like we need my Plexus income to keep that over our heads. Like, yeah, it may not look like I have all the flashy things or all the extra spending income right now, but just being able to say that we have a place to live and me be able to pay that 2 weeks ahead of time every single month without worrying about where else it's coming from and being able to make that payment, like that's huge, even if people don't see it from the outside.
Mine is, I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but to be a stay-at-home mom when I worked in corporate America, that meant pinching pennies on my husband. And so we never took that. And then God called me away from my job when I was silver, and I left and became a stay-at-home mom. And I think within like a year, less than 2 years, I think something, we like went emerald, and it allowed us to buy or build our dream home here. But as a stay-at-home mom, I also felt very lonely sometimes, like I didn't have time to myself. And so for a very long time, I wanted to hire a nanny to come a couple of days a week to just give me some time. And I was able to hire a nanny who's also now a senior gold on my team. So that's really fun. So not only has it given me the freedom to quit my job, it's also allowed me to quit my job and give myself some freedom to still be Taylor and not a mom all the time. And I didn't think that I could have both. So.
Well, let me ask a question, and I want to see raising hands. How many of you have more energy now during the day than you did before you started Plexus? Raise your hand if you have more energy now. How many of you sleep deeper now than you did before Plexus? And don't just raise your hand because you feel like that's the cool thing to do. If you haven't, then don't raise your hand. How many of you feel like you have grown more in your confidence and in your leadership and in your mind? How many of you feel like you've grown in leadership? Okay. How many of you are pooping every single day? How many of you, and there's still moments where like I need to have some chocolate for sure, but how many of you feel like you have more control over food and you have more wisdom over what you're putting into your body? So those are all things that we've also gained from Plexus. How many of you feel like you have a community, you have a purpose, you have people surrounding you that love you and are safe for you? All of those things are not little. So Brooke, thank you for sharing and being honest and vulnerable of what you sent over to Tab today of like, I don't have anything to show for my business. Every single one of you raised your hand at least once during that. You either have more energy to be present, more present for your family. That's a huge gift. You have grown in self-development. You've grown in confidence and leadership and mind maturity. That's huge for everything around you. You're going to the bathroom now, so you don't have all those toxins sitting in your body and you feel like a loaf, you know? Like there are so many things that this business, that these products have helped us all with. And so I think it truly is a mindset shift and seeing actually, like Brooke said, actually, I do have something to show for this business. I do have something that is beautiful and has been a gift. And so I think that when we as leaders can shift that mindset from woe is me this is really hard. I have all these people quitting. I don't have anybody that's wanting to do this business. I just want another Taylor. If I could just have another Taylor, then I'll get to the top. Then I'll be happy. We hear this all the time. Like, once you get to Emerald or Senior Ruby or Diamond, you are not instantly going to be happy. Like, you are not instantly going to be like, I just saw 4,500 points come across my screen. All of the stresses are gone. I'm the best leader. I have the best team. All is great. That does not happen. What happens is you get to choose, kind of like we talked about at the very beginning, that leadership lid, you get to choose your posture here. You get to choose your posture as a leader. Are you going to be a leader who is sitting in the background and not raising her lid and focusing on the things that aren't working, focusing on the things that are falling and failing, things that you're not good at, which will spill over to your team and to your family? It will hurt your soul, and it's not the way that you want to live life or operate this business, and it's going to make you want to push away. It's going to burn you out. It's not going to be attractive for your team. They're not going to want to do it. So it's this ugly spiral. Or are you going to choose the posture of, it is what it is. I can learn from this. I'm going to find joy in this. I'm going to take control. I'm going to control the controllable, which is your mindset, you getting into activity, you being that leader that you want your team to see, the leader that you would want to have. You be that. You get to choose that posture. There's a really, really good book, Dream Big. I love this book, Bob Goff. And I mean, anything he says, like John Maxwell, is like a zinger. Like, everything is so good. But if you guys haven't read this, I highly recommend it. But he's talking about failing. And you guys, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Like, every single one of us, as we are doing something hard and as we are going up this mountain to get that big snowball, that residual income, the strong business, it's hard. We are going to have things that don't work. We're going to have things, we're going to fail. We're going to accidentally copy and paste a message that we had, like, for a dream teamer to somebody else's name in there. Like, we're going to do all the things, but we get to choose how we're going to bounce back from that. And so he talks here, he said, don't sulk or get sucked into an eddy of self-pity when something goes wrong. Keep your head up. Don't shade it. Admit it. You messed up. Doing this doesn't mean you are a mess up. It means you're a dreamer. This makes me cry. It means you're a dreamer who's willing to take some risks, get a few scrapes, clear away the ashes, and build some new foundations. I will copy that and I'll send that over to all of our leaders, and you guys can share it with your Gems and Jewels thread. But I think that that is a really important reminder for us as leaders. Like, we are going to have hard times and we are going to fail. But if we can continually go back, like we just did here in this exercise a minute ago, and focus on, reflect on, what have we seen these products help people with? Building that belief there. When we go back and we reflect and see, this has allowed me to stay home. This has allowed me, Tabitha, to eliminate the stress of 4 different jobs and hustling and moving all about and getting my kids everywhere and shuffling everything. Like, this has helped in so many areas, and reflecting on that and then building your passion and your purpose off of that. Because what that's going to do is people are going to want that. That's attractive. People are out there watching us, and they're attracted. These leaders are attracted to leaders. These leaders are attracted to people who are doing the things. And it doesn't matter if you're a silver ambassador just paying for your products. That doesn't matter. People don't know. People don't understand what silver and ruby, people don't understand that. But what they're attracted to is your purpose and your passion and your belief and what you're doing. So I'm going to share with you guys a quick little video. How many of you guys were at Super Saturday or listened to Super Saturday and loved Valerie Burton? Raise your hand if you loved Valerie Burton. Also, I want to lose 50 pounds and find her dress and her belt because she's so cute. I also want to pull off her hair. Okay, I'm going to play this video. So she has a book out there that I have not read yet, but I am going to read it after I finish my 14 books that are sitting on my desk. But it's called something along the lines of like How Successful People Think. You also can go and listen to Brittany Howard's amazing podcast, because she also has like a little podcast on how successful people think. So always like building yourself up, always like learning and growing is very, very important for leaders. But we're going to play this little snippet. She's got, this is from her book. And this is like her habit 1 that she's sharing about how successful people think. And so Brooke, I see you. Do you see me? I'm going to push play and you just let me know. Give me a thumbs up, Brooke, if you can hear it, okay?
And successful women think differently. 9 habits that make you happier, healthier, and more resilient. And I promise, even if you're a guy, you'll get something out of these habits. So let's start with habit number 1. Habit number 1 is so simple. It's this: believe you can do it. How you explain your successes and your failures actually predicts a lot more about your potential than you think. So what I realized as I began really researching, what is the difference between 2 people with similar talents, gifts, experiences, connections? What's the difference when one excels and the other languishes? And it really is about the fact that they think differently. It's not enough to just know what steps to take. We've all been in the position of knowing the steps. If you've ever tried to lose weight, you know the steps, right? It's always around eating better, moving more. The thing is, when it's time to eat better or move more, what do? Typically, it's the battle of the thoughts. What are you saying to yourself when it is time to put on those workout shoes, when it's time to eat better? And the person who takes best control of their thoughts, the person who has the most optimistic thinking style, is the most likely to be able to move forward. In fact, the way you explain your successes is super important. If when good things happen, successes happen, you actually explain it as having to do with you and your effort, if you actually see it as something that you could replicate and repeat again and again, you're in a good spot. That's how the most successful people think. But so many, when they are faced with a success, don't give themselves credit. They see it as being luck. They see it as, maybe it was just, somebody just gave me that opportunity. They don't take credit for the work that they've put in, for their contribution to their own successes. And in fact, they see their successes as being temporary. I know it happened this time, but if it's a fluke, is it going to happen again next time? So the first step of believing you can do it is actually something you can cultivate. And so if there's an area in your life where you're lacking a bit of confidence, maybe it's a move you want to make at work or something going on personally, maybe it's even a conversation that needs to be had, and you find yourself hesitating and procrastinating simply because you don't actually believe you can do it, you can build up your confidence by doing something smaller, but something you currently can believe you can do. So if it's a tough conversation you need to have and you're not ready with that person, maybe there's a smaller, hard conversation you could have with someone else. And when you have that conversation and you realize, oh yeah, I can do this, you become ready for a little bit bigger conversation. In fact, this whole idea of being able to cultivate a sense of confidence is super powerful. It's one of the ways that the most successful people think differently. They know that they have insecurities. The most successful people aren't perfect, but they are aware of their thoughts, and they intentionally notice when their thoughts are getting in the way, and they find ways to tweak and change their thoughts in order to help them move forward. So habit number 1, very simply, believe you can do it. That thing that you keep saying you can't do, or you keep doubting yourself about, chances are you really can. But it starts with you thinking you can.
Okay, anybody have any takeaways from that, or anything that like really stood out to them that you want to start implementing into your daily habits with your business?
Well, I just want to say that, and this is not exactly related to my business, but I have like, this is so silly, but I have shoulder problems. I can't do a regular push-up. And I'm like, I'm going to do one regular push-up this year. Like that's my thing. And so I've broken it down by like, I'm starting by doing 10, like on the counter every day. And every day when I wake up, I tell myself like, okay, you can do this. You're going to go bust out those push-ups. And then I like go do it. And so I just really related when she was talking about like the difference between the successful people is that like the thoughts that they're telling themselves. And so it's like, if we can carry that into our businesses, like, okay, I'm going to go message these 3 people, you know, and it's just, but it's like, it's that I'm not allowing myself, there's no wishy-washiness. Like I have a habit tracker and I swipe that thing when I did my 10, but it's like, if we can be that concise with our thoughts towards our business, like we would see massive growth and success. Like we would, you know? And so it's just like, we can't waver. We just have to come in and just do it. So I loved that.
I think it's so empowering that, because you can hear people say like, oh, you have to believe in yourself. Number one, believe in yourself. And often I think people are like, well, okay, like I want to believe in myself, but like, how do I believe in myself? But like, how empowering to know that it's just it is mindset. But like she said, like cultivating like those, having like going after those little wins, which builds your confidence, which translates into you believing in yourself. And so it's cool to have those steps, and also encouraging to know that like your mindset, like that is a skill, and it's something you can just practice by just choosing to think a different thought and dwell on a different thought. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes and the more of a habit it becomes. And so I just love that.
And I love that she said, like, you can do it scared. And that's the thing, is you actually have to do it scared, because most of the time you're not going to get over it unless you've done it scared, because that one little hard conversation is going to lead to those really, really hard conversations that don't necessarily keep you up at night and make you vomit, but you just get more and more confident over it, which is like, I know that in relation to customer care and some really hard situations where it's not necessarily an emergency, it's just, we're going to figure this out. And it's not something that I did personally. It was a tech glitch, and just like not adapting it to like who I am and my worth and what I did or did not do for someone, but just, this is just life, and life has mistakes, and we're failing forward together. But the fact is that you are still going forward instead of allowing yourself to take the title of quitter or failure.
So there's the book 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's a chapter or a law that John Maxwell talks about. It's the law of the big Mo, of momentum. And he talks about when you're not in momentum, every single little problem is just so highlighted. Like every single thing that does not go well in your business is highlighted, and you sit and you dwell on that. And what does that do? That just only pulls you back even further and further and further from your goal, further and further away from momentum. But on the reverse side, when your team is in momentum, you can have a bunch of little problems come up, and they don't affect you at all, because you're in that momentum and you have that mindset of, okay, it's just a thing. Like, it's just a thing. I mean, how many of you guys can remember the very first time one of your customers or your first customer canceled her account? How many of you guys remember that? Yes. That was like heartbreaking. Oh my gosh, what did I do? She didn't even talk to me. Oh my gosh, like this is on me. This is on me. And now I have so many people who quit, you know, and it's just a matter. It's like, it is what it is. Like, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect me the way that it did when it first happened, because I have that understanding, and like we're in that momentum, and those little things don't stand out like a splinter in your foot, like, you know, when you're not in momentum. And so what he talks about in the Big Mo is that's created by you. Like, that momentum is created by you. So in the words of Christy Jex from her gold mastermind from a long time ago, her favorite phrase Well, there are children here. She says drum S up. She doesn't say the actual S word. She's still like, you know. But anyways, she says drum stuff up. And so that's what our job is, to create momentum. It's up to us to drum that up. It's up to us to get our teams into action and to get our teams excited and for our teams to catch that vision for what this is for them. But they're not going to catch that. They're not going, thank you, Brittany, for writing it out, because there are little ears here. That momentum is not going to catch on when you're in a negative mindset and when you're not in action and when you have that attitude of, I don't have anything to show. My business, I have nothing to show. We're going to leave it with this. So Bob, the old Bobby Bob Heilig, he has one of these little things. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like on his Instagram. And he says, in quotes, he says, talk about how much money you make and your company's compensation plan, end quote. And he says, no, talk about the transformation that network marketing offers. Hasn't it benefited you in more ways than the money? So that's another way that as you, when you're growing and you are in a positive mindset and you are creating momentum for yourself, for your team, when you're raising that leadership lid, like Taylor said, and you're out there sharing about network marketing, you don't have to share all the fancy things. You don't have to share the Lexus and the trips and all the lucrative income that you could be making. You just share how it's benefited you and how it's benefited other people. And that's going to be attractive, and that's going to build your belief, and that's going to build the belief of your audience. Network, all the things. Thank you guys so much for being on. Like Joanna said, we do this the third Thursday of every month. If there are areas that you guys want to discuss, topics that you want to discuss, things that we need to dissect, please let us know. We want to give you guys what you need, where your business is right now. But again, the foundation of a strong business starts with you and that positive mindset, raising the leadership lid. Did I say Thursday? I meant to say Friday. Okay, thank you guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye, everybody.